Hello, Mark Holt, Nostalgia Dirt Series. It's Wednesday and I'm jumping on the interstate to go interview Harold Anderson. Harold is a past racer. He is from Duncombe, Iowa, and we're going to be talking to him about some of his most precious memories and seeing some of his news clippings and things like that. And I'm very excited to interview and show Harold to the adoring Nostalgia Dirt Series public, so to speak. So if you have people that you would like to interview or you would like to see interviewed, please let me know. My email address is tomarkholt@gmail.com. I met Harold through the Field of Dreams, our special invitation racetrack, and he's quite an amazing character. So enjoy the video. Thank you. So we've got some pretty cool trophies here. I'm here with Mr. Harold Anderson. He's going to talk a little bit about each one of these trophies. I'll kind of zoom in a little bit here.
That's the last one at Fort Dodge.
You won that at Fort Dodge, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty fancy. What?
That's a 50-lap championship race in 59.
50 lapper, huh?
Yeah.
What? Do you remember what kind of car you were driving then?
Yeah, you see it right there.
Over on the left there.
Well, we'll just pan around here.
Yeah.
The
61 car. No, not that one.
Not that one.
Up, right there.
There we go.
The bottom one's mine.
That bottom one's a replica, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's one here too.
Very awesome. That's cool. I like your case there. Looks like you got some more trophies up there, huh?
Yeah.
I don't have quite that many trophies. You must have been quite a racer in your day, huh?
Well, I had pretty good luck.
Pretty good luck.
You didn't cheat, did you, Harold? You didn't cheat, did you?
Never got caught at it.
You did, it's not cheating unless you get caught, right? So this looks like maybe probably the biggest one. Where's that one from?
That's from Webster City.
Oh, okay.
No, that's the Dayton Raceway.
At Dayton, okay.
1962.
Sure.
And this is 59 50-lap championship.
Sure.
And then this one is from Dayton mid-season champion 61.
Wow, those are pretty fancy. So do you have a favorite trophy? Which one's your favorite? I know out of the few I have. Okay, that's your favorite? Why is that one your favorite?
Yeah.
How come that one's your favorite? Why is that one your favorite?
Well, that's about the last race they run in Fort Dodge.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. So do you have any special memories of that race at all?
Well, the only reason I wanted that is Norm Weaver's car either run out of gas or quit. And he had pretty good lead on me, but he pulled over to the side
and you got around him, huh?
Yeah, real easy.
You beat him on fuel mileage even back then.
Yeah.
So what did he think of that, running out of fuel? He probably wasn't real happy about that, was he?
I don't know if he ran out or something went wrong.
Sure. Any which way, you got around him and got the trophy.
Yeah.
So 50 laps. Wow. What was it like to do 50 laps in a car like that? Was it pretty good?
That's awful short track, so it don't take long.
Sure. That's awesome.
That's a little shorter than the Dayton track.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were running second pretty much for a while, and then Then the leader kind of had some issues, and around you went, huh?
Yeah.
Did you wave at him as you went by?
No.
No, you didn't wave at him? Well, when my brother's racing me, when he passes me, he always makes sure he waves when he goes by.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I get some more pictures of your car here. I love it.
I think them two up there from the Webster City Fair races.
Okay. Pretty fancy. That's back when they made trophies out of real material. They stayed together. My son was track champion, and most of his trophies are all having to rebuild because they're falling apart.
Okay.
Well, you're a hero to many then.
So that was back in the 50s.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for inviting me into your house and
Yeah.
answering some questions.
Yeah.
You've got a tremendous fan club that's anxious to hear about some more about your racing and things like that.
Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite memory of racing, a favorite race, something that stands out in your mind?
Oh, there's quite a few that stand out.
Right, right.
Like at the Webster City Fair. Like I've been second in the heat race and the trophy dash, and I won the main.
Is that right?
But I had my brother rebuild the carburetors, and they didn't put the right jets in it. It wasn't getting enough gas.
Uh-oh.
And I was surprised I won the main event.
Right, right. So you were one heck of a driver. Even with a limping car, you could win then, right?
Well, I come close most of the time.
It takes a real driver to be able to take a car that's not working real well and get it up front there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So did you have any people come get your autograph and stuff back when you used to race? Did you have quite a fan base back then?
Oh, I had quite a few. I don't think any of them ever got an autograph, though.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So youngins probably hanging around your car and dreaming and wishing and yeah, we got one of them that we're gonna have sit in this hot seat here to reminisce with you. But so let's what's it like to be in the spotlight back then and when you're racing and winning races and stuff? Did you feel like a star or were you just out having fun or what was it like back then?
Just trying to have fun and keep the car in one piece.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very awesome. So a lot of people, when they race, they get really serious and stuff, and you don't hear the word fun.
Yeah.
So were you a serious racer where everything had to be right all the time and you were concerned and your priority was winning or was it just you went out and had fun?
Well, I always had it tuned up.
Yep.
And when I first started racing, I got quite a bit of information from California.
Oh, really?
How to build them 6-cylinder engines.
Sure.
Yeah.
And how'd you get that information? Just talking to friends and stuff like that, or was there articles that you read, or how'd you get that kind of information from California?
Well, see, when that 261 Chevy come out about the time I was starting to race,
Sure.
and Chevy dealer in Spirit Lake give me an engine, 261.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well,
So
you must have been really liked if you had dealerships helping you out.
yeah,
That helps too, don't it?
yeah, it saves money.
Yes. Yeah, because
Yeah.
So speaking of money, like to buy 5 gallons of racing fuel today, 5 gallons is probably $60. What were some of your costs from back then? You know, like say you putting fuel in your car. What kind of costs were you looking at?
Well, I first started running Texaco premium gas, and then when it run down to Dayton, I started running DX gas,
Sure,
and that's all I ever run.
sure. You remember what it cost to fill your race car up?
Oh, it didn't cost very much.
Sure. Probably didn't cost $60, did it?
No. Maybe 25.
$25. There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah. So tell us how you got your car to the racetrack. Did you have a trailer or tow bar?
I had a trailer and a 31 Chevy Coupe that I pulled it with to start with, and then I had a 39 International pickup that I pulled it with after that.
Sure. Which did you like better? Did the pickup pull it better to the races then?
Well, there wasn't much difference.
Sure, sure. Awesome. So, when your competitors seen you pulling into the racetrack, did you get along with your competitors pretty well, or knowing how much you won all the time,
You didn't win that much money.
Huh?
You didn't win a lot of money in them days.
Sure, sure.
But
So were you pretty much friends with the people you raced against, or was the competition kind of fierce, or
no,
did you have pretty much? How did that all work?
I always tried to run the inside of the tracks.
Are you running on the inside? Sure.
That's a short way around, and one guy told me.
The fastest way, right? The
Yeah.
shortest way. Yeah, yeah. So you kind of had your car set up to run on the bottom side of the racetracks and stuff.
Yeah, you had the last car built up, turned the axles on it, so when you turn, your wheel would come up more.
Got more tread pattern on the racetrack that
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
And that made a world of difference on the handling.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So did you do your own mechanic work on your race car, or you talked about your brother a little bit and stuff?
No, I did all
you
my
guys-
own work except having it bored out.
Sure. And like building the roll cages and stuff like that. Did you do your own welding
Yeah,
and stuff like that? So
Yeah.
you're a pretty good fabricator then.
yeah, I could weld pretty good.
That always,
You learn every year.
that always helps, don't it?
Yeah,
Kind of put your life in your own hands with your welding, so to speak.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So, so your favorite race car was that your favorite race car? Is the one you had a picture of?
yeah.
Was that pretty much? Do you remember how many different race cars that you had that you raced?
Well, I started out with a 38 Hudson Coupe. Then I had a 31 Chevy Coupe. That didn't last long, though. Got wrecked up to Clarion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then this one is about the last one.
Sure. So from your first car to the very last car you drove, how did they compare in technology and handling and stuff like that? I know my very first car was pretty primitive. I didn't really know much about building race
Yeah.
cars and stuff. So, what was the case with you as far as your first car to the last one you drove? Was that quite different?
Well, like that Hudson, that was a good handling car. I mean, that. And then the last car I built out was the best handling.
Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. Seems like that's always the way, isn't it? You kind of learn as you go and understand things more and sometimes learn from your wrecks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So did you ever have any bad wrecks that stand out in your mind?
Well, that up to Clarion, that was a rough wreck. I had a lump here for a week.
Is that right? Yeah.
I got knocked out when it went over.
Oh, wow. So, tell us a little bit about, so what kind of belts did you have, and seat, and safety equipment, and your helmets and stuff like that? Tell us a little bit about your era for that kind of safety equipment.
Well, that went up to Clarion. I just had the seat belt.
Just a lap belt?
Lap belt.
Is that right?
And after that, I put a belt around here
Okay.
to hold you in.
Sure.
So that, I never had any more wrecks after that.
I suppose when you have a front end impact, that belt here kind of maybe takes the wind out of your sails once in a while, I suppose.
That holds you in place.
Yeah, holds you there,
Yeah.
sure. So, for helmets, what did you use for a racing helmet?
Regular racing
You
helmet.
did? Okay.
Yeah, I still got it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's all. Is that around where we could see that, your helmet, or is that all put away?
I got it down in the basement. I can go get it if you want it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd like to take
Yeah.
pictures of that. Awesome. So, do you ever miss racing, or do you have a hankering to ever get back behind the wheel and race again, or is that all pretty much not interested in any of that anymore?
Well, getting too high price for. Then they all get them big V8s going.
Right.
So they got you beat to start with.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So pretty much all your race cars were all 6 cylinders.
Yeah.
Awesome. My dad swears by the 6 cylinders. He said
Yeah.
he could always make a 6-cylinder beat a V8 any day. He swears by him. So, and you had the one of the local dealerships helping you out with engines and stuff. Was there anything special done to the engines that you raced, or was that a secret?
No, it ain't no secret.
Ain't no secret. Wasn't no cheating there then, right?
Yeah, they just bore them out and put in racing pistons and,
Sure.
and a racing cam. And then the main thing, I had a Hudson transmission behind the engine. They had a high-speed second in them, so you could run a half mile or eighth of a mile any way you wanted.
Sure. So that was the secret, is the Hudson transmission then, huh? Back
Yeah,
then?
that was a good one.
Sure.
And that had roller bearings in the second gear, so you could run it in second gear all day long.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They were pretty durable then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so now I know one of your secrets then.
Yeah.
So, I know back, my dad raced in the late 60s and stuff, and I don't know if it was because he couldn't afford it or because they didn't make them back then, but he said the rims for these cars really didn't hold up. So did you build your own racing rims, or did you reinforce them in any way, or were they just standard car rim? Did you do anything special with any of those rims?
Well, I generally run the Buick rims off of they had a heavy rim and they're 6 inches wide.
Okay.
For the tires.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose you probably learn real fast what works and what don't work.
Yeah, you learn.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you probably didn't change rear end gears very much then, right?
No.
Sure. So predominantly, what size tracks did you run on then? Half miles or quarter miles or?
Well, to start with, it was 3/8, and then a half mile, and then a short track down to Dayton, Webster City.
Sure. So
That's
what
a
was
half mile?
what was your favorite track? Was you a bigger track guy, or did you like the smaller ones better?
I like the Dayton track.
Yeah. That was your favorite, maybe the
Yeah.
Dayton one. Sure.
Yeah, my car worked real good on that.
Do you remember the years of the Dayton track when they opened versus, and that track's no longer exists then, right? In Dayton, or is that still a racetrack?
No,
That closed down. Do you remember what year that closed down in?
69.
You didn't know there was going to be a test today, did you? Closed down in 69, huh?
Yeah.
And were you there for the last race in Dayton?
No,
No?
I quit long before that.
Sure, sure. So, so it sounds like you had had fun at it and you were successful at it and stuff. So what prompted you to get out of racing then?
Well, it's starting to get expensive.
Sure, sure. And I think a lot of racers find that is,
Yeah.
you know, it's
If you can't get a sponsor now, you can't race.
yeah, yeah. So do you remember some of your sponsors from back then?
I only had that Texas dealer when I started out, and I was always on my own.
Sure. Sure. Awesome. So, do you remember some of the people that you raced against? Do you remember some of their names?
Yeah.
Who was your toughest competitor? So when you got showed up to the races, was there any one person that kind of stood out that you wanted to beat?
Well, I could tell you beat them all if I had
You could beat them all. Good. That's awesome. So there was nobody that you were ever gunning for or anything, huh? They all thought that of you then. They gotta beat Harold.
Whenever they had a Australian pursuit, I always wanted to start in the back, then I could beat them all.
So then you were pretty good in traffic then, weaving your way through and getting up to the front. I'm not very good at running through traffic. I'd just soon start in the first couple rows. It's a little easier then. But you know you're a real driver when you like to start in the back.
Well, you gotta have a good car too.
That always helps, doesn't it? Yeah. Awesome. So last time I interviewed you, you talked a little bit about how you got into racing. Could you tell us about that again? Like you said, your brother had a car and started out that way.
Yeah, I had a 37 Ford two-door, and then the week that he was going to get married, he rolled it over at Milford track.
Uh-oh.
And he said, if I could fix it up and get it going, I could run it the next week. Because he got married in, I think on Friday or Saturday. And then run up to Milford. I wanted to be Maine that night with it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So was it in pretty bad shape when he rolled it over?
No,
Or
it wasn't hurt too much.
beat it back out again and away you went?
Yeah.
So you got the fever after that for racing then?
Well, there was a couple dealers in Spirit Lake wanted to build a car, so they talked us into it. They built that 37 Hudson up.
Sure. So did you have a lot of back then did you have a lot of family show up and watch you race, like your dad, your mom, and people like that?
Oh, there's some family come once in a while.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Did your father ever get to see you race?
Dad, he didn't miss many.
He didn't miss many, huh?
Mom only come to one.
Sure. Sure. I suppose Mom got nervous when you were racing, I suppose, huh?
Yeah,
Mothers have a
that's too
tendency.
much for her.
Mothers have a tendency to do that when their kids
Yeah.
out racing. They don't like to watch that very well.
I don't want anybody to get hurt.
Right, right. So did your dad ever race then?
No,
No, not at all, huh?
no.
That's what got me into racing was my dad. I got pictures on the farm of me sitting on the little baby sitting on the hood of my dad's race car. So he got us all into racing, and sometimes now he wishes he wouldn't have, because that's all we do and talk about is racing and stuff. So that's one thing I never got to do is race against my father, but my dad supported my racing too, and my mom didn't. My mom was always nervous, but I'll tell you what, on turn 2 at my local home track. There was a grandstands right at turn 2, and you'd always see Mom sitting there every Sunday waving at me and cheering and stuff. So, what do you have for sisters and brothers? And I know you have one brother at least I heard about, but is that your only siblings?
I had 2 sisters.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you ever get them behind the wheel?
No.
No? They probably would have beat you, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So is there anything that stands out in your racing that you'd like to tell everybody? Something special, or is there anything like that stands out you'd like to talk about?
Oh, it's not real special.
So what did it feel like? So what did it feel like when you're going around that racetrack and you're in that car and you're out in front? And do you remember your first victory? Do you remember the first time you got the checkered flag? Do you remember what that was like?
Yeah,
I vaguely remember my first victory. What was it like the first time you won? What'd you think?
Well, it felt pretty good.
Did you do a lot of celebrating that night? Drinking? No celebrating? Didn't hoop it up or anything?
Yeah.
So did you get a trophy for your first win? Your very first one? Wasn't doing any I didn't get one either. I think I got a hat or something. I don't know. But I'll never. I don't know about you, but I'll never forget my first win. That was pretty amazing. My dad was actually there that night, so it was pretty cool. Yeah. So what? So did you raced predominantly, did you race on asphalt ever, or just only dirt?
All dirt tracks.
All dirt tracks.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Did you ever have a hankering to run on the asphalt, or did you just like to stick with the dirt?
No.
Stick with dirt. Asphalt's for getting to the racetrack, isn't it? Dirt's for racing on.
It'd be hard on tires.
Yeah. Definitely. So, what kind of shop did you have for working on your race car? Just work out of a garage, or did you have part supplies and stuff? What kind of shop did you have?
Well, it was on a farm. I just had a shop in an old building.
Sure.
It used to be a corn crib. And it had a wooden floor in it. You had to be careful where you put your creeper down, or you could fall in a crack.
I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose. So you pretty much, did you have a pit crew? Did you have a big pit crew? People show up to help you work on the race car at the racetrack and change tires and stuff like that? Did you have a pit crew?
I had 2 guys with me all the time.
Sure.
They're both gone now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What were their names?
One was Harold Williams and the other was Tom Hufford.
Okay, sure. And they were ace mechanics, I suppose, huh?
No, they're just helpers.
Just helpers.
Yeah.
Sure. Did they encourage you to go faster?
No.
No?
No.
Well, but sounded like they were pretty special to you and coming out and helping, and I suppose they helped unload the car and tires and all that kind of stuff. Go get you a drink during the races.
No.
Awesome. So I'm gonna have Leroy come over and sit down and ask you guys some questions.
Okay.
You know, you're his hero. Did you know that?
He's what?
You're his hero. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
He makes that very clear.
Yep.
Well, I guess he learned from me.
That's awesome. So we've got the driver, and we've got the fan here, and so do you remember the first time you saw this man here racing? What kind of an impression was that?
Well, I don't remember the first time exactly, but all I remember about Harold is he never touched anybody racing. I never did see the hood open on his car. Never. He would race, he would come in and he would park his car, he would get up on the top of it, put his feet on the hood and watch the races, and then get back in and go race again. He talked about some different things. One thing he told me one time his wife wanted him to quit racing, thought maybe, but Harold thought they needed to keep doing that to buy groceries.
Oh, is that right? Well, that's a good excuse, I think.
I haven't forgotten much Harold ever told me. But no, it was. I would get in the races. My mother ran a hot dog stand there in Dayton on the side hill, and I could get in free that way because I'd sell hot dogs.
Sure.
And I'd walk around and watch you guys race, you and Bud and Norm and all the old boys. And anyway, that's when I'd watch Harold race. And he's the one that, the last few years when I built that old Chevy car and that, he's the one that gave me the inspiration to do it.
Sure.
So, and I tried to replicate it, but Harold always tells me it ain't as good as mine was. But that's all right.
Well, you probably don't know all the secrets and stuff.
Well, I do know one secret that I learned after about 4 or 5 years ago. I got 2 one-barrel carburetors on that Chevy. Well, he had 2 2-barrels.
Oh.
And so it would run, that little Chevy would run game at Christmas.
Pour more fuel to it that way.
A lot of fuel. It had 2 Stromberg 97 carburetors on it.
So being a youngster coming up and seeing a man like this and how good he did on the racetrack, so was he pretty personable?
Very, very. Harold wouldn't say a bad word about anybody or anything. He talked about him getting along with the other drivers. Now, there might have been a few other drivers fighting and drinking beer. He never did. He sat there and he had a good time and he raced his car. And yeah, and then you go back home to dunk him. You know, but it was very impressive, very impressive. And I remember him and old Bud Fair battling it out. Bud had a 235 Chevy in his car with 3 carburetors, 1 barrels, I think. But oh my goodness, these guys would go back and forth. But no, you talk about Harold starting at the back of the pack. He did. Never touched the car. He just see an opportunity and take it.
Sure.
And that's how he got to the front. It was just unbelievable.
Sound like a natural.
Yeah.
He was very good. He was
So
very
is there any special race that stands out in your mind more than any others that you went and watched Harold race?
Not really. They were all good. They were all good.
So he always put on a good show then, huh?
Yes, and after the races were over, I'd always go in the pits, and I'd question him a little bit, and he probably thought, "Get out of here, kid." But anyway, I'd ask. But I thought you told me you had a Packard transmission in that car. Was it a Packard or Hudson transmission in your car?
Yeah.
It was a Hudson?
37, 8, and 9 Packard.
Packard.
Yeah.
And you had a Mercury rear end, right?
I had a Mercury rear end.
Yeah. You told me that when I was 14.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
That was 60 years ago. And I haven't forgot it yet.
Yeah.
But I got to get that tip on. How'd you say you rolled that front axle a little bit to get it to handle better? Did you roll it back?
Or to tip your wheel in. Tip your wheel.
I don't know. I had to put the car up, front end up on jacks and rolled it and turned the wheel to see how it come out.
Okay. Okay. Because mine doesn't handle very good.
No, you gotta change that.
Yeah.
You gotta work on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did put a narrower tire on the outside front wheel. That helped a lot. It bites a little better. I had a great big tire on the outside front. And that little one seems to grab better now. Because they're always pushed out. The front end always pushed out on that car. But yeah, it is. My car is basically a piece of junk compared to Harold's.
Yeah, I had an 820 on the right side, and then I had a little 15-inch, real small tire on the left side.
I remember that. One thing more I remember about Harold's car, and he never remembered it. I would sit there in the bleachers or selling hot dogs and watch Harold. They were just warming the cars up. And everybody else was tearing around the track, and here's Harold just around the track. And the outside front wheel on his old Chevy just sit there like that. And you don't remember that. You never felt it.
No.
And that wheel just sit there like that. And boy, when he started racing, it went straight. It didn't wobble a bit.
Right.
I don't know what was going on, but I'll never forget that.
Well, he must have knew something about setups and stuff to be doing as good as he did.
No, he was an awesome driver. Awesome driver.
So,
Yeah.
but you never asked him for his autograph. So,
Well, I didn't think you could write, so I didn't bother.
oh,
No.
what's up with that?
No. You gotta pick on Harold.
I never read it until after I quit racing.
Well, you did down the racetrack when I was a kid. You just don't remember. But yeah, it was.
So, do you remember this youngster coming up to you and asking you all kinds of questions and stuff?
No.
You were probably too engrossed in racing and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, his mannerism and that was just like his now.
Sure.
This is how he was when he raced.
Sure,
Nothing exciting.
Yeah.
Just get out there and race.
sure.
I never seen anything like it.
So, did you pretty much one race a week, or was there times where you ran more than one race a week?
Well, 2 races a week sometimes.
Sure. I suppose that got kind of.
Well, see, Dayton run on Thursday night, and then Webster City run on Saturday night.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, Harold, did you tell him you had 2 cars? Did you tell him about the GMC car?
Well, that's been a long time ago. I didn't run that too much.
Well, you ran it at Algona, didn't you? Mainly? You drove it at Algona, didn't you, mainly? The GMC car?
I run it over at Webster City a few
Did
times.
you? Had a 302 6-cylinder GMC in that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, what'd you think of that car?
It had a lot of power.
That's what you need, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, what did you do for a living back then when you were racing and stuff? Did you farm?
Yeah.
Sure. I suppose it was probably got kind of hectic farming and keeping the race car, or was that pretty easy to do?
Sometimes we didn't have enough time to rebuild the car.
Sure. You just had to hope it held together then.
Yeah. I put new rings in Chevy one week. I got new bearings and put it back together and got it running about 4 o'clock. And I left it running, put it on the trailer and let it run all the way down to Dayton.
Broke it in on the trailer. I think that's a new one. I don't know if I've ever heard that before. That's a good idea though.
Then I didn't try to win the trophy dash. I just took my time. That way I got to start in front of all the races and I won them all.
There you go.
We used to call that sandbagging, Harold.
Yeah.
We had time trials.
Sure.
And some of the boys would go out there and they'd have a pretty fast car. I don't think Harold, I ever seen him do it. But they'd go out there and they'd pull a plug wire off. Oh, miss and bang.
Right.
And they would have a terrible time and then they'd get in front of the pack.
And away they'd go.
Away they'd go. I never remember Harold doing that much. But
Harold liked to just go.
yeah. He didn't care if he was at the back of the pack.
The faster the better.
Yeah.
When I got the second fastest time trial down at Dayton, and that I can't think of his name now. It had a big Chevy V8 in the car, and he beat me by about a half a second.
At that little Crosley car, George Barton? What?
Yeah, George Barton.
Yeah, George. He had a Crosley. You know what a Crosley is?
You know, I've heard of it.
Okay, it's about as long as that Davenport.
Okay.
He had a 409 Chevrolet in it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And he only beat you by a second, huh?
Yeah.
Well, he must
Well, we was both under 16.
Yep, 16 seconds on that little track. And Harold had a 6-cylinder Chevy and you had a 409. So yeah.
But I watched A-Main that night. That kind of made me feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, definitely, if you can beat them guys with the big motors,
Yeah.
that just meant that you were a wheelman,
Yeah.
a driver. Sounds like you were one heck of a good driver.
He was.
Well, you gotta have a good car to drive.
Well, I've seen a lot of people with good cars that still weren't much good.
Yeah.
So that's you definitely were one heck of a driver. It sounds like no matter what kind of vehicle you were in, you always did good, and it's really cool to hear that you were a gentleman on the racetrack, and it's just been a real honor for you to tell everybody about your memories and your racing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what would you say to the youngsters of today that race? What advice would you give them?
Well, run on the inside of the track, I guess.
Stay to the inside. I'm going to tell Joe that. So now every time you see Joe, that youngster, you'll meet him. He'll probably be staying to the inside of the racetrack now.
Harold, him and his brother are gonna bring an M Farmall down Sunday, down to my place when we plow.
Yeah.
So they're excited about that too.
We just got it running yesterday.
Good,
It
good.
broke down last winter. We were splitting wood, and it just quit on us. And so we just kind of pushed it aside because we've been busy. And by gosh, we got it running. And my brother backed it out of the shop, and away he went, just driving it around.
Good.
He likes them old tractors.
Yeah.
So we'll be down for plow day, and we're gonna bring a couple race cars. And
Yeah.
in fact, we rescued a race car that's been sitting in a junkyard for, I don't know, probably 20, 25 years. And so we pulled that out of the weeds and brought it to the shop. I actually did a video about it, but we got it running.
Yeah.
So now my brother wants to bring that down.
That's
and
the
run it.
Nova?
No, this one is it's a 57 Chevy, and then they put some body on it. I don't know, some Monte Carlo or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, the wheels are all leaned in on the front,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got railroad ties and tractor weights for weight in the back, and 3/4 ton truck rear end, and it's a survivor. So we just got it started last night.
Yeah.
It was pretty neat to hear that old thing run again.
Yeah.
So we'll be out there for you to watch, and are you gonna drive a tractor and plow, or are you just gonna watch?
I might.
There you go.
I got an M Farmall with power steering on it, Harold. Pretty easy. But you gotta pull a rope.
You do?
Well, I got a hydraulic plow, but I don't want to spoil you. No, I got a lot of old equipment out there. I was going to tell you one interesting story about Harold. When I was building this car, Harold came down and he brought pictures and ideas, and he brought me some of the old Chevrolet books, how you souped up a 261, stuff like that. And he was telling me he had the 261 engine and on and on. He said I had a 49 Buick Roadmaster radiator in it. I thought, wow, where am I going to find one of them? Well, a week later, I went to the junkyard in Boxholm, and I drove in the north driveway, and there sat a 49 Buick Roadmaster.
Yeah.
And I bought that radiator from Mix for $50, and that's what's in that car
Yeah.
now. And it never does run hot. It's a good radiator. So I learned that from Harold.
Yeah.
And one other thing he put me on, he told me you put a 235 head on that 261. You gain a half a point of compression.
Is that right?
Yeah, he told me that too.
I bet you your competitors would have liked to have known all this. Maybe they could have kept up with you back in the day.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you got your helmet and
Yeah,
stuff.
I'll go
I'd like to
down-
see
I'll go
that.
down and
Yeah.
get it.
So this was some of Harold's racing equipment here. Wow. I've seen a few races then,
Yeah.
huh? That's pretty fancy. That's neat that you still have that.
Yeah.
How many races do you think you ran with that? Too many to count?
Oh, it's about 150.
Is that right? Yeah.
Mhm.
And you got your gloves. What'd you use? Just regular leather gloves? Okay, sure. Yeah. Awesome. And goggles? I see you got some
Yep.
goggles down there.
Yep.
Wow. So what'd you do when, I suppose you were out in front, they never got muddy when you're clear out in front, right? So you didn't have to worry about getting them muddy.
They got money before you got there. You could see a little better in them days.
Yeah. Well, that's neat that you still have that.
It
That's,
don't fit though.
it doesn't fit, yeah. Did your head get too big for it?
They kind of expanded it a little.
Oh, that's awesome. Very awesome. I think that's really cool that you still have stuff like that. That encourages me
Yeah.
to hang on to my stuff. But
Yeah.
racing technology and helmets and stuff have come quite a long ways from back when they wore stuff like that. Definitely.
Harold,
They wouldn't let you race with that today.
Probably wouldn't let you race
no,
with that
that'd
today.
be for baling hay or something, I think, today. Harold, I want you to tell him how many races, features you won in the years you raced. How many years you raced, and how many feature wins did you have?
Well, the best year, I run 32 races and won 16 mains.
Yeah, but I mean over your whole career, wasn't it like 8 years? You won 56 feature races? 8 or 9 years, you had like 56 wins?
I raced about 10 years, I think.
Okay.
So, do you want to explain this book to your adoring fans and talk a little bit about? So that's your record keeping from your racing.
Well, the trailer weight was 820 pounds, 38 Hudson, 1370 on the front and 1260 on the back. 35 Chevy was 1550 on the front and 15 on the back. Another 35 Chevy was 2570 on the front and 1380 on the rear. And then 1953 on the 38 Hudson, won $175 that year.
For the year, that was your total for the year, is $175.
Yeah. And then racing record 54, 35 Chevy, 11 race meet, $256. Racing record for 55, 30 Hudson and 35 Chevy, $688.
Well, that was a good year then, huh? What'd you do with all your money?
It won 6A races that year. And 56 was the red Chevy and the Hudson. 24 race meets, 5A mains, $458. And then 57 was a white 61. Run 32 race meets, 16A races won, $1,495.
A bigger payday. Holy smoke.
Then 58 was a 216 Chevy and a 270 GMC. $29 race meets, 5A races won, $1,387.
So did you have to give all that money to your wife when you came home? Did you have to hand all that over to her? No, you got to keep it, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, look at you.
Then 59 was a 216 Chevy, 8 race meet, won 1 main, $315. 60 was 216 Chevy, and it's 9 races, $393. 2A races won. And in 1961, we won $1,136, 22 race meets, 7A races won. In 62, 28 race meets, 9A races won, $1,674.
Holy smoke!
Getting rich.
I guess.
And racing record for 1963 won $1,087. 26 race meets, 2A races won. Racing record for 64, 14 race meets, 6A races won.
Well, that was a good year.
That was my last running.
Was it 64?
The last one was 1964, huh?
Yeah,
And that was probably, and that you said that was your favorite car, the last one.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it did you well there. That's a good. So did you, when you won that money, did you turn around and you put it back in your race car, or use it to pay the farm bills, I suppose?
Well, like down to Dayton, if you wanted a trophy dash, you got a case of beer.
Does that right?
But you didn't drink beer, did you, Harold?
Huh?
You didn't drink beer, did you?
No, I got rid of it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I ended up with about 9 cases in the basement.
9 cases
So
in
I
the
had beer
basement.
for a long time.
Hand them out for Christmas gifts or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much for allowing me into your home
Yeah.
and sharing your memories. And I want to thank you for being such a gentleman when you were racing
Yeah.
and putting on such a good show. You very obviously inspired many people by what a good job you did and what a gentleman you were. And I just want to say thank you for contributing to racing history.
Yeah.
And it's been quite an honor to be able to come into your home and talk to you about these memories and see your fan club there,
Yeah.
with Mr. Leroy. You got a traveling fan club. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
You must have been pretty darn good in your day.
Yes, he was.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, maybe someday at the Dayton track we'll get you in another one of them cars again, and you can show everybody how it was done.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is Mark Holt from Nostalgia Dirt Series. It was quite an honor to meet this man, and if you like what we're doing, please hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions that you'd like me to ask Harold and get back on and talk about that, I'd be happy to. Or if you remember watching Harold race back in his day, we'd like you to share some memories of that, and we look forward to a lot more showing out racing history. So, Mark Holt from the Nostalgia Dirt Series, thank you.